Good day everyone. Welcome back to the channel once again. I still remain Ike. So this video is actually the pre-recorded or the recorded session we had on how to handle a cat or build a cat system using pure JavaScript. So I think the class was requested in the channel for those who are having difficulties implementing a shopping cart. So things like arrays, objects, and local storage were actually covered in the video. So feel free to follow the video, follow the processes. You're free to also ask your questions in any of the community groups. So if you're on the Telegram group, the WhatsApp group, so feel free to ask if you're confused. Anyway, the class has already been done. So this was the video for those that missed the class. So if you missed the session, this is your chance to follow up. So the class was it was a live session, so you won't really we won't be here to always to maybe be answering the questions now. So you can always drop the question later and someone will get to someone in the community will just get to attend to you. So feel free to follow the video. Like I said, implement every process and take note, the styling, the CSS was not really we didn't really focus on styling. So it was more of JavaScript functionality. Like I said, we're trying to implement the cat system using JavaScript. So feel free, follow the video. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of our videos, and make sure you ask questions once you're stuck. Thank you. All right. So building a shopping cart system or a cart system can you can do it in two ways, or there are two fronts to it. You can do it using the front end and probably also having the back end, but in a real life situation, like in a real full application, you're always going to involve the front end and the back end, except you're trying to build a static e-commerce platform where you may not necessarily need the back end part. But in our case for today, we'll only be sticking to the front end first. Then in the next class or in the next section, for those who want to do back end, we'll do another session for that. All right. Okay, so we'll be working with a few things, mainly JavaScript. We'll be using arrays, objects, and local storage. Yep. So those are the three things we'll be focusing on for now. Okay, questions. Who has not used array, local storage, and objects before? Please, you can turn on your mic and respond. We've all used arrays and local storage in JavaScript.
Good evening. I've not used local storage before.
Okay, you've not used local storage. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Noted. I'm just asking so that I'll know the way to explain or the way to go about the class. I think every other person have used. Okay, you've not used. Okay. Okay, let's get started. So I'll just share my screen. Just let me know when you can see it. All right. Let me just share my entire screen then. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
That you can see my screen, right? All right, so let's get started. So I'll just go to a text editor. Let me close Passo Boy. Let me close this. Let me close this. Okay, so I'll just pick any of my text. Okay, let me just create a folder then and call it you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Let me call it cat system. Okay, so I'll just pick any text editor of my choice. So in my own I'm using Sublime Text. You can decide to use anyone you feel like. I just choose Sublime Text because it's lighter for what I want to do. So people that are fans of VS Code and the rest, you're free. So what I just want to do is I just want to open the folder as usual, which the name is cat system, right? Cat system. So I can close this one. All right. So this project, we're not focused on the design. We're not focused on designing, making the cat beautiful. We're just we're focused on the functions, which is how to actually build the cat. What is involved in building the cat system, right? Okay, so let's get started. So I'll just be using I'll be doing everything in one file. I don't want to use multiple files. I'll just do everything in one file. So I'll just create a normal HTML file. So let me save this as index.html, right? Yeah. So let me just create the normal HTML structure. Let me just say shopping cart project. Okay. Then I'll just have I should just have some scripts here, which is where I'll write my JavaScript. I have my JavaScript at the bottom. Then if I'll have any CSS, which I doubt, because I'm not doing much design here. So this is my folders, my code structure, which is an empty page per se. All right, so let me explain. Let me just explain what local storage is for persons that said they've not actually used or applied local storage. So you know how to use a variable, right? You know what a variable is. Please respond.
Yeah.
You know what a variable is, yeah. So you know when you create a variable, and let's say you create it on index.html or index.js, and you move to another file, you know you can't really access the variable you created on the other file, right? Okay, so in our case, where local storage comes in is it helps you to store data, that's the variable, or help you to store data or content on the user's browser. Okay, so meaning that as long as the browser window is open and you're working on the same project, you can always access that variable from any location as long as it's still stored in the local storage. So it's just like storing something on a fake server. Okay, just like a fake database, but this time the database is on the user's computer, that's on the user's browser per se. So as long as I've accessed your platform and it's stored on my browser, you can access it using through the multiple you can access it on multiple files. For instance, to create a variable on local storage, or to set an item on local storage, you just need to say, let's say local storage dot set item. Let me just set my name. So it accepts two parameters, which is the variable name or the key per se, then the value. Just like setting a variable, let a equals to this. So let me just say name is, and I give the value of the name Ike, right? So if I come to my browser, let me open this on the browser. So this is my browser. If I come to this browser and I inspect this console, where do I find it? Should be in application. So if I go to application, I will see, you see storage, right?
Okay.
So you can see there's a storage here, and there's a file which is all the storage data. Okay, here you have cat data, which is not what I need. So let me just delete this from my storage. So I have name here saying Ike, right? So this is stored on my local storage. Now if I have let me create a new file here and say about dot.
Is there any how you can increase this thing? Let's see what you are.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were seeing it. Can see it now, Shay?
Yeah.
All right, so let me just do about and say, but this is too big now. It's not too big.
You can reduce it.
Is it okay like this?
It's
All right. So on about page, let me just say script. Sorry, let me just admit someone. Let me just say I have a script and I want to call. You remember I set a variable here called this is too big. Abigail, you can see this thing, bar.
Yes.
All right. So I set a variable here in local storage, right? This ISCA, right? So I want to access what I stored in the local storage on this other file. So all I just need to do is I'll do a local storage dot get item. So like I said, you just put in the key. So the key of that particular item was name, right? So I can just say name. So whatever was stored in name should be coming out. So let me just do an alert here. Okay, let me just create a variable and say let's name because it is. So I can just say alert name. So that's the about page, right? So let me just go to about.html. So you can see that in the about page, I'm still having ISCA is being alerted here. Okay, let me use a write instead of alerting. Let me just say document.write. Then do this. All right. So remember, we didn't set any variable called ISCA on about page. But you can find ISCA in the about page because ISCA is already in local storage. So it's just used to pass data, to persist data from one. You can use it to store data between or share data between two different files, or store users' data on their PC. Okay, so in most scenario, what people usually use local storage for is, let's say I'm building a full login application, right? A full system or a full platform where someone else is writing the front end, another person is writing the back end. Okay, so most times when the user wants to log in, the back end on login, the back end always returns a token. So most people store the token in local storage. So as long as there's a token in local storage, I can always access the token throughout the system or throughout the application or throughout the platform. So I can always use the token to check, because most times when you want to send the request to the backend, you're always sending the request with the token. So for you to always access the token, you can store it in your local storage so that you can easily just access it from anywhere on the website, because you can't start telling the person to log in every time. You can't be logging in every time again. So we understand local storage now, abi? It's simple, it's clear. All right, so let's go to the main issue of the day. But all right, let's go back to index. It's HTML. So to build a cart, we need to first of all create the dummy data for the cart. So in our case, we're using a dummy cart system because normally, if this was a real application, the cart data should be fetched from the back end, right? But this is, we're just focusing on front end, so there will be no need for us fetching any cart data. All right, let's start. Let me clear this. I don't need all these ones again. Okay, sorry, this is about. I don't even need the about page. So close it without saving. Okay, I don't need this. I'll just use it to explain. All right, so let's start. So first, I just want to do. I want my cart, my items should be on the left. Then the cart, anything I want have in my cart should come on the right. Okay, like I said, the design won't really make sense. You can go ahead and design yourself. I'm not focused on design now, so I'll just create a simple cart data. It's not going to have a picture, nothing, just basic data. So what do I want to do here? Okay, what I want to do is I just want to create cart content. The cart will be here, and the local storage, and the okay, this is my product. Product will come here, then the cart should come here. But I want them flex, so I just need to do a class here. So let's call it flex. So what this class will just do is dot flex should just do a display of flex. Then I can give it a width 100% and just say justify content. Let's say space around. This is basic HTML and CSS though. So let's just see what we are having. No point opening this again. Okay, so my cat let me increase it so that we can see it. Everybody can see my screen clearly, right?
Yeah.
So my cart data will be, my product will be here, then the cart content, that's anything I add to my cart should come to the right hand side, right? Makes sense. So let's design how the product will be, although it's not going to be that beautiful or fine, but let's just add something to product. So what will be in our product? What's going to be in product? So these are products, right? Let's just say these are products. So let me just do h1 and say products. So inside product, I just want to place all the products in a div. So let's say div h2 or h2, yeah, let's say h3. Let me call this let's say bag. It can be, your product can be anything, I don't know, just something that was fetched from database or something the people are selling. Who can give me products now? Abigail, what type of bag do you use to carry? You said what? Phone. Phone.
Use phone. So,
okay, yeah, it's easy to remember. Techno. This is Techno, ba. I beg, anyhow. Techno. CECNO, like this. Okay. Techno what? See, I don't know Techno phones. So.
we have Techno Spark.
Oh yeah, wait now. This Spark, ba. Spark what?
Spark 2.
Spark 4.
Let's say this is the phone. This is the price. The price should be, let's say H4 is price. Price is how much?
It's ranging from 30 something.
It's 38. I don't know if it has increased though.
We're selling cheap. Our phones are not cost. Then there's a button here for you to just buy. For it to, let's say you add it to cart, right? So it's simple, nothing serious. I'll just duplicate it. I don't have muzzle. So this is Spark 1, Spark 2 bar, Spark 3. Spark 3 is how much? Spark 3 should be 40 bar. Maybe 40,000. Then Spark 4 bar. Let's say our Spark 4 is 50k. Now you can add as many in your own, you can add as many products as you want. I don't know. You can add as many products as possible. So we have products, but it's not looking, it's scattered, right? So let's just put it in a box and see. So I'll just create okay, how should I style this? Let me just create a class. Let me just say border, a class called box or boxed, anyone. Let me just say border 1 pixels. Code. Is it gold? Yeah. Let's see. So I just want to apply it to these divs. So just give this a class of this. This one a class of this. I'm going class of this. Try it to be as fast as possible. Okay. let me just say margin bottom 10 pixels. So just something fast, just to make it. So these are our products, right? We are good to go for that one. Nothing serious, nothing too complicated. So you can decide your product may have an image or whatever you want to add to product. It's not really my problem for now. So I want to do the cart items. Let's work on carts. So these are products. For carts, we'll still have a H1, and we'll say, let's say items in cart. So I just want to say items in cart. So what I want to do here is I want to be able to know how many items are in my cart, right? So let me just put a span and say the items in my cart is 0. I don't have any item yet. So I also want another div under it that will display the cart items. Okay, let me just give it an ID. We'll use this ID later. Show cart, right? This is where all my cart items will be displayed. Then let me do a div here that will tell me total. So I want to count, like, I can add 2 items to cart, right? So if I add the 2 of them, I want to see the total, like how much I'm supposed to pay the company that owns the platform or the people selling. How much am I supposed to pay them? Makes sense, ba? All right, so total should also have a, let's just say span. I'm not doing, yours can be anything. You can design yours in any way you want. This is just a fast something to just give us a structure. So ID can just be, let's say, show total, right? So items in carts, how will this thing look like? How will it look like? Okay, then when we get there, we'll cross it. So this is what my screen is too big, but we can still see this, right? So this is how it's going to be. So if there's an item, it will display there in any format we want it to show. When we get there, we'll cross it. So total is 0. You can add a button to do whatever. All right, so we're done with HTML, the HTML part, I think. And if there's any other thing, we can come to it. Okay, let's just give this span an ID too, and let's just call it number of items. So I think nothing else should be done in HTML for now, right? Everybody understand what we did in HTML? I think everybody knows HTML here, apart from me.
Apart from me.
Apart from me that don't know HTML. Okay, so let's go to JavaScript. So first of all, this is local storage. Like, we are trying to get, for us to, this thing that are showing here, the cart items are to be fetched from the storage. So while building any platform or any project, you need to consider how your application is going to run, what is going to happen first. You need to imagine what should have happened in the background. So you need to consider every possible scenario while building. For instance, in this case, we know that we need to get our cart items first, even if there is nothing in local storage, but we know that there should be the cart items are fetching from the local storage, right? So we need to make sure that we get them from the local storage before maybe adding to cart, or even if you want to add to cart, you need to fetch the cart items, because you're just updating what is already in local storage. Does it make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
All right, so we'll just convert them to just create functions for them. So the first function we just create is to get the cart items from the local storage. So what we just want to do is we'll get the cart item. If there's no item in the cart, we'll create we'll just return an empty array, or an empty array, because we're storing the cart items as arrays of objects, right? Something like this. Each product is on its own. So the product has a name, right? The product has a name, Abi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like this. Who is joining? So we're storing something like this. Product, the price bar. does something like this though. The price, let's say, then we need to store the quantity, how many you bought. Something like this is what we're storing. Then we have this one element in the array, we have another one. So you can have as many of them as possible, right? This is what we're storing in our local storage, okay? And this is what we're expecting back. This is the product that have been stored in local storage, just like a database, okay? So this is what we also want to retrieve back from the storage. But we have a slight problem. Who knows the problem? Who knows the problem? We have a slight problem, a slight issue. And the issue is that our local storage can only store strings. That's strings. Only strings. So what do? In our case, we want to store an array having objects in the local storage. So who knows what we are supposed to do to achieve that?
We have to convert it to a JSON file.
Yeah, so we need to convert the array of objects to a JSON object, as the case may be, or sorry, a JSON string, right? So to do that, you need to do this syntax. JSON dot stringify helps you to convert an array to a JSON string, right? This can convert it. All you just need to do is put any value you want to convert. So this converts it. If you want to convert it back to an array or an object, you just need to do a JSON dot pass So this converts from the string back to an array or an array of objects. So take note of that, just in case. So we'll be using them. All right, let's get started. Let's create the first function, which will be fetching our data from the local storage. All right, so let's just call it function. So just for simplicity, I'm not going to go and start doing the fat arrow function. I'll just use the normal basic function that we all know. Function with a name. Let's call it get cat items. So I'm not passing any arguments in this function. Please, if you don't understand anything I do, just call my attention. I will come back. So all I just want to do is I want to get any value of the cat data that is in local storage, something I must have stored before. In our case, I've not stored anything, but I want to assume that I've stored it. So let's cat data. I want to call it cat data is equals to local storage. So I already know I'm going to store. Okay, let's just get it first. Let's get item. So whatever name I wish to store it with, I'll just still call it cat data. That's what I want to store it with in local storage. So I want to check. I want to do two things. I want to retrieve this. I'm going to be using this function in almost everywhere I want to get the cat data. So first of all, there may be, for now, there's nothing in my local storage, right? I don't have this cat data in local storage. So what happens when it doesn't find cat data in my local storage? So it should just
Create it.
Yeah, it can either create an empty array for an empty object for me, or just return just play the cat data. Any method I want to use is fine, depending on how my code structure will be. So but first I need to check if it's existing. So let me check if cat data is existing. Okay, before we do that, let's just alert cat data and see what cat data will give us, which should be null if I'm not mistaken. Why isn't it alerting? Okay, this is a function, sorry. So let me just call this function once this page loads. Okay, so I'm getting null as my cat data, meaning it's not existing in my local storage, right?
Yes.
All right. So what I just want to do is I want to do a check and say if you check for cat data and it's null, right? If you search my local storage and you don't find cat data, meaning that cat data is equal to what? Null, ba?
Yes.
So if it's null, if the cat data is null, what I just want you to do is return it. Create a new cat data for me. Return. I'm making this a returning function because I want to use the value in other places. Okay. For instance, if I want to add an item to cart, I still need to get my cart data. So I don't want to start creating this thing again and saying local storage does get item again, I'll just call this function for it to check if something is in the cart, or if cart data has something. So what I just want to do is I want to create a new cart data. So cart data is equals to, we said it's an array, bar. Cart data is supposed to be an array, so we just create an empty array for cart data. So else means there is something, but something is in my local storage. So I'll just return what should be there. So else return cart data, which is supposed to be a variable, is equals to all. I already fetched it here. So if I retrieve this, it's not going to be in an array format. It's still going to be in a string, right? This one here is still going to be in a string. The first variable I created is still going to be in a string. So what I just want to do is I want to convert cart data back to an array, right? Or an array of objects, as the case may be. So to convert it, all I just need to do is I can say return cart data equals to, we say we're using JSON dot what? Pass bar.
25. Okay, pass.
Pass to, we are getting it back. We are not creating. We are trying to get it back. So we are assuming, this is coming as a string format if there is something inside. So we want to convert back from string back to the array. Makes sense, ba? Doesn't make sense, tell me. So I'll just pass in cart data, which is this value here. What did I do? Okay, I should pass in cart data here, which is the value I got from this, whatever this is returning. So with this, I've created my object.
Sorry, Mr. Ike, is it possible you alert the first card data before you pass it?
The first cart data, this one.
No, the first one up. The first one you collected.
I alerted it. Did I alert it? He said we alerted it, but it's null.
It's null. Okay, it was
Because there's nothing inside, right?
Okay, when we start having data in it,
Yeah, we can still alert it if we add data in it. Okay, so the next thing we just need to do is okay, let's start adding the data. Let's add data. All right, let's add data then. So I may not need this really. I'll still call it somewhere else. So this is just a function that gets me my cards, that gets me things that I have in my local storage. So let me create another function to add the data. Add item to cart. So this one will add the item to cart. So our items, what we're adding in our case is so since we're working with only front end, we have to do it manually. We're adding the item number, the price, and quantity. Do we need to add quantity? Yeah, okay, quantity can just be 1. Is there any need to add? No, these things needs to have normally if you're doing something like this, each product has an ID, right? An individual ID that will identify the product. So like I said, these things are supposed to be fetched from the back end. So once your back end is returning this data, it's supposed to come with an ID. So each product in a database has a particular unique ID. 2 products can have the same ID. That's what we use to identify the product. Okay, so in our case, this may be just the product 1, product 2, product 3. So what I just want to do is I want to pass in, if I want to add an item to cart, I want to collect some variables, some parameters, which is the name bar, then the price bar, and the product ID. These are the 3 things I'm collecting. This is what I need to collect. Okay, yeah, this is what I need. But before I do this, I should first I want to display the cart item, but we've not created the function for that. So I'll just do something here and say remember to display cart item, because I want to display it first before adding another one, which will create that function later. So let's add our product to cart so that we'll just see how it works. So product name, let's go with product name. I want to create the values that I'm adding to local storage. Product product name is equals to this variable, this parameter here, which is name. So it will be passed from the button. That's what we're going to do anyway. Then the product, let's product price should be equals to price. Then let's our product ID equals to the ID, right? So what else? So we said cat items. Cat is an array of objects, right?
Yes.
The cat is an array of objects, meaning we have to convert what we've collected into an object. So let's just create the cat, the object that we're pushing to inside the array. So let me say let's cat item. This is just one item. So let's cat item equals to an object. So creating the object, I just want to say the same name. I'll just use the same thing. So product name is equals to product name. So object accepts keys and values. So this is the key, the other one is the value. It's equal to this, and product ID. So I'm missing something. I need to add quantity. Let me just create the quantity variable. Okay, there's no need creating quantity variable because by default, once you want to add a product, the quantity is 1, right? The first product you're adding, the quantity is 1, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So quantity should just be, initially quantity is 1. So we're adding just one of this. Alright, so I've created this. So I want to get, for me to add something to the cat, I want to get the cat data, which is this function we've already created. But this function is getting what is in my cat, because I need to get the values of the array, then add something to it. So what I just want to do is I can say let's cat data, which is that function, is equals to, is a returning function, so I can just call it and say get cat items, right? Get cat items is the name of this function, so I can just call it inside wherever I want it. Alright, so normally what I'll just do is, what a normal person, or normally what someone can just do is to say, normal method is just to do, we just want to push this into the array. Let's just try something, but this is not what we are going to do anyway. This is not what we'll be doing. Just for explanation, let's see how it works. So this is an array, so I need to do array.push bar. To push something into an array is array.push, abi? So my array is cat data bar dot push. What am I pushing? I'm pushing cat item, abi, cat item into it. So let's reload. Before we reload, I said this function is, I need to call this function on the buttons, right? So let me go back to my button and say on click. I just want this thing to happen on click. On click, do whatever is in this place. So on click, call add item to cart, and the name is techno blah 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 for this one. Name is techno spark 2. The price, I'm not going to put the comma because we want to use it to calculate stuffs. Then the IDs, let's just call it 1. Okay, let me remove this, so I can do this too. This is techno spark 3 bar, and the price is 40, and this is product number 2. Please, if you don't understand, please call my attention. Spark 4 is 50,000, and it's product number 3. So you can have as many products as possible. So let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. If it works. So what I just want to do is, when I add, just for testing though, if all these things work, let me just say alert added. So in most cases you can use maybe an animation to show that. So I don't want to go to, okay, let me still be in my local storage. So added, added again. Let me refresh and see if anything comes up. Nothing is showing. Why is that? Okay, let me check why I'm not getting anything in my local storage. Nothing in my console either. Add, say added, but nothing is added. Let's see. Application, local storage is not there. It's not there. Okay, yeah, we just pushed. We pushed to the cart. We've not updated the local storage. We've not set anything in our local storage. We didn't add it to local storage. We just added it to the array. Okay, let me see if I can do a document.write. Will that work? Okay, let me just log it. I just want us to see how it's supposed to show in local storage. Console.log. Card data is my array, right? Card data. So let's see. Let me test it from console instead of here. Let's reload this. So if I add this, added, but is in the console as this, right? So this is product 1, right? So if I add again, another thing should be added, meaning I have two still having one product. Okay, it's just pushing. Okay, probably a reload. But this is the structure we're looking for in our local storage, right? Something like this. Anyway, let's go on. That's by the way. All right, but the truth is I'm not going to do this push. I'm not actually going to do a push or this particular push. I'm not supposed to push now. So let's assume I have this already in my local storage, right? Now let's take an instance. You know, this is a cart, right? A user is definitely, let's say I want to buy 2 of TechnoSpark 2. You get? So this is going to show like this. One will show, it's still the same product 1, but it will show me product 1 2 times. Does it make sense? If I keep clicking this button, it's going to keep showing me product 1 multiple times in the local storage, which is not what I want to do. What I just want to do is, if you add product 1, don't add it again. Instead, if I click on add to cart again, just increase the quantity. Does it make sense? You know, the quantity is 1 by default, right? Quantity of product is 1 by default. So if I click on add to cart, what I just want you to do is just increase the quantity. Don't add it again to my local storage. Okay, so how do we achieve that? We said the cart here, this is an, let me not push, this cart is an array, right? So we need to find go through the array and check if this data is already in the array, if this particular object has already been created before in an array, right? So the unique thing in this particular cart item is just the product ID, right? Two phones can have the same name, but the product ID should not be the same. I can have TechnoSpark 3 black color and TechnoSpark 3 green color. You get? But they should have maybe a different product ID. So I can use the product ID to check an array to see if something is if this is already existing. So how do you check if something is in an array? How do you check?
You have to loop through it.
Have to loop. Okay, it's possible. Looping is possible, but looping will keep going. Which of the loop? There are so many loops for arrays. There's only one person that is talking. This is not a class, so this is an interactive session. We're not doing class.
If you check the length.
The length. Yeah, if I check the length, it doesn't give me. If I do array.length, just gives me a number. It doesn't tell me that this particular item is the one in the storage. It just tells me that something is there, but it doesn't tell me this thing is in the storage. So I want to compare values. So what do I do? That's the question.
That's by looping now for loop.
That if I use a for loop, fine, for loop will work, but the issue with for loop is it may not stop when it gets to the product I'm looking for. It will keep looping until it finishes the complete loop.
Do while.
Do while. Interesting. um um JavaScript has there are some array methods, right? There are some array methods we can use. I don't know if most of you have updated your ES6 this thing, JavaScript. There are some array methods you can use. For instance, you can do, I think a filter can work, right? Who have used filter? Array filter. Filter can help you filter through an array. Yeah, we've used filter, but a filter can work. I can do sum, right? Array.sum to check if something is existing. Okay, so I think I will just use sum. Let's use sum. So sum is just to, it returns I think it returns true or false. If it's find, it's just almost like find, just that I think find returns the value for you. Like if you do find, it returns the value, while sum returns true or false. You just check if this thing is found in this particular thing. So if this data is found in this array, that's just what it's going to do. So we are going to use the product id to check if there is, in each of the elements, if there anywhere that the product id is already existing. So if it's existing, just update that one. We need, because the product id is unique, right? So this is what I'm saying. So let's say, so this is just going to, I'll just call this a constant because it's not going to change. Let's call it check single item. So it's still my cat data, which is the array dot sum. Let me see. Sum callback function any array. All right. Do I understand this? Let's not get too confused here. This sum. So I need to create a placeholder or a variable, which is item. Then I can now say, just like saying for item in item, something like that, in something. So I can say item dot the product id. Item is just representing each of the, like just like a key, like the array key, right? So product 1 is on index 1. Okay, sorry, the array index, or let's not say the key, the index in this array. So let's just say if I'm in index 1, so index, just like when you do for I equals to, if you are using a for loop and you say for I, right, in the array, so I dot something, bar. Who doesn't understand? Just like I'm doing a for loop, something like this, bar. So I can do this I dot bar in any of the things I want to do, bar, to get each something inside the array. I can do I dot this. In our case, we're trying to go through an array of objects, right? So this is representing the key. For instance, this is item. So item dot the product id, which is product id. So if item dot product id matches our what we have here, which is the what we collected before. What did we collect? We have a variable called product id. So if it matches this variable called product id, it means it's existing. Else we can't. Else is not existing. So sum should return me a true or false. Let me just say let me alert check single item and see if it will even give me anything. Let me just see. So if I add this, it's false because it wasn't there. It will still be giving me false because my data is not persistent, so it's not there before. It wasn't there before. Okay, so like I said, this returns a true or false. So if it's true, just push the data. You know, there's no data in my array. So okay, let me do something before checking. Let me say Give me a minute. Uncle. Yeah, just give me a minute. Let me check this. Give me a minute. Let me just confirm. Let me do something. All right. Let's go on. So what was I saying? So I just want to add something into the array. We'll see here, right? I mean, we've gone to bed. So I just want to add something back into the array by saying, just to test this, cat data dot push bar. Let me push back cat item so that we'll just see. Normally I won't really do all these tests just for classes, so I already know that is supposed to return me true or false. Why am I having nothing? Okay, sorry, I'm not telling it to give me anything, so let me put back my alert check check single item. So you're seeing that I'm getting a true here now, right? So true just means it's existing in my array, meaning I pushed it first before checking. I did this push before coming to check if this product is existing. So this thing just means that it's existing. It's telling me that check this is true. So like I said, the sum returns a true or false. So in this case, it means this product is true, is existing, meaning we don't need to add it again. We just need to update the content of the array, which is what we're going to do. So we've already known that check single item returns true or false. So what we're going to do is run an if. So if and you can do this anyhow you want. Let me do the false first, right? Let me do a false. So if it's not existing, which is if not check single item, meaning we don't have check single item, all I just want you to do is now do the push, right? Cat data dot do cat data dot push cat item. So you only push when it's not existing. You can't push if the thing is existing already. Makes sense, ba?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to update, since I've updated the value of cat data. If it was an empty array, something is now inside. I want to update it in my local storage, right? I want to push it back to create a new cat data in local storage, last replacing any cat data I had in local storage. So all I just want to do is local storage dot set item. So which item am I setting? I'm setting cat data is the name, which I've been calling it, but called it cat data. So I just want to do, before I push it, I want to convert it back to a JSON string by saying json.stringify. Well, yep. Stringify what am I stringifying? Cat data, ba?
Cat data.
It's cat data. So I just convert the array back to JSON string and push it to local storage. So what I now want to do is I don't have any variable called get cat item. So I want to bring it back, like run this thing again, because we'll still use it later. Just want to update my current cat, which is this. So I want to fetch the data back from the local storage. Then what else? What else am I going to have? Okay. So what I wanted to do here, I still need to, after this, what I need to do is, after adding this item, I have to update the cat items that are here, so that once I click here, it should automatically show here. That's what I want to do. So what I should have done is the same thing I did here. I have to display cat inside here. So remember to display cat items here, which will write the function for that later. So write the function for that. So if this is false, do this, else means check single item is true, ba.
Yes.
Else means check single item is true, meaning no, else means check single item is false. Check single item on its own is returns true or false, ba.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the first scenario, if it's true, this place is saying is false, ba. Not check single item means it's false, ba. So if it's false, meaning there is no data in the database, in the local storage, add a new data. Else now means if it's true, ba.
Yes.
If it's true, so if it's true means it's existing in my local storage already. What I now need to do is I need to loop through the content of my local storage to find the exact one, right? So in this case, I want to loop through an array of objects, which is what I have, right? I have an array of objects. If it's true, it means there's an array of objects in the database, in the local storage. What am I calling database? Right? So how do we loop through an array of objects? I think that was the answer people were giving me when we were talking about the sum part. How do we loop through an array of objects again? The normal way you loop. For loop, ba. It should be a for loop. So to loop through array of objects, I think the best way should be, let's do for in. For. Then
So Ike, why can't you
why can't I do what?
use switches in this situation?
Use what? Cookies.
Switches.
Huh?
Switch.
Switch. You can use a switch. I'm not just a fan of switch statements. If you want, you can use a switch. I don't just enjoy switches. Switch and if statement, are they not? That's still condition statements now. Are they not doing this? They're almost doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing in fact. So a switch statement can work, like switching through this true and false condition. But I just prefer normal old way if statement. And switch may begin to get complicated for people who are not so used to switch. So you can try a switch too, it should work. Alright, so let's just do a normal for in loop. Since I have an array of objects, for item in cat data, which is my array. But cat data. So if on the loop, if cat data of index item dot my product ID. So if this thing matches product ID, so if I loop and I see product ID matches the product ID in my cart matches the product ID I collected, it means that's the one I want to change, that's the one I want to update the cart for. So in this case, I don't want to really I don't want to update anything. I just want to update the quantity. I don't want to add it again. So what I'll just do here is, if this is true, if this condition is true, just do cat data item dot quantity. I want to change the quantity. You can do the short form plus equal to 1, so it's just equal to, but I just prefer everything being long. It just equals to this cat data dot quantity plus 1, so let's not confuse anybody for people that are not used to short form. So it's just adding 1 to quantity, or do a plus plus. So once I get this, I just want to break out of whatever we are doing here. So after the break, after breaking and after looping, after all these loops, I just want to now update my local storage. So meaning I've changed something in local storage, I have to update it again. So local storage dot set the item again. So I'm setting a new item, set item. So same thing I did before, which is I've done this before now. What's the point of coming to write it again? So which is this, So I'm just setting a new data. So same thing I did for the old one. I still need to, let me just remember. I'm just adding this so I'll remember what I'm supposed to do there. Remember to display. So I want to update. I want to be able to show it let it automatically reflect here. That's just what I'm trying to say. So once we write the function there, we'll just add it. All right, so then let me see if this works. This worked. Let me do a console.log. Console.log. Let me just log cat data and see what cat data will give me. Although, okay. Let me see what cat data will give me if this works. Let me see. Why am I still having? Okay, so it works, right? I don't know if you noticed it. This is quantity 1 bar. You're seeing my screen.
Yeah.
You're seeing this quantity 1. So when I click it again, changes, quantity changes to 2. Right? Why product ID, everything still remains the same. So this is the updated version of what I have. Let me click this. So I'm not having, if I add a new product, I'm having 2 products in my cart, in my console. Right? You know, when I do this, it's still on 0, 0. Here, I'm having 2 indexes, 1, 2 bar. So I have TechnoSpark 2 and TechnoSpark 3 in my console. So I have 1 TechnoSpark 3, and for quantity I have 2 TechnoSpark 2. Makes sense, ba? So you understand what we are doing? Yeah. Question, confusion. The ladies have run away. All right. Question, confusion. Okay, no question, no confusion. All right. So I don't really need this login here. I'm not logging anything here. Okay. The next thing, I need to create the function. I need to create that
Display cat.
yes, the displaying of the cat. So I'll just create it after this. So function display cat. All right, so what's this function doing? It's just getting the things in my local storage and displaying it for me on the screen. So the first thing I need to do is, where am I going to display it? First of all, I want to set whatever I have inside show cat. Where is show cat? I want to be showing it on this place. So the issue here is, where's my show cat? The issue here is, you know, if I have data here before, I have to always, I need to clear it before adding another one so that it gets updated every time. So I want to always get a new value. So I want to clear whatever it is that was inside show cat initially, which for now we have nothing because we've not displayed anything there. So I just want to say document dot normal get element by ID, right? By ID show cat dot inner HTML. So remove anything is inside inner HTML. Inner HTML. No, this one doesn't have inner HTML. Equals to empty. All right. So let me get cat data. So let my cat data again be equal to what? Get cat items, which is the function bar. So I want to create a div. Okay, let me just get this. Let me take this as the div because this is where I want to display it, and just create a variable for it. So let me just say let's cat div be equal to that thing there. So get the element. So I also want to display the total, which is currently 0, right? So let me just say let's total be equal to 0 as usual. 0 already. And let I said items in cart is 0 too, so let's items in cart also be equal to 0. So next, I just want to do is I want to loop through everything I have in my cart and show it on the screen, but so there's nothing serious. There's just to do a for loop. So the same for loop we did before for let item in cart data, right? So what I just want to do, I want to get single item. I want to put each single item in a div. So let's single item be equal to document dot create what's safe. How do you do that? Create elements, but create elements. Don't mind me, it's long I wrote JavaScript. This kind of JavaScript. Create elements div. Okay. All right. So all we just need to do is we need to let's just get what we need. Let's get what we need. What else do we need? We need to display product ID anywhere. Okay. We need anything. All right, let's just get the product ID first. Let our product ID be equal to cut item, although this is not really necessary. But let me just check something. Dot we need to okay, let's use product ID. Let's get product ID because we want to also have a button that removes the cart item, right? If I add an item, I should be able to remove it from the cart, right? If I add, I should be able to remove now. So I want to have a button and I want to be using the product ID to remove it. So let's just get the product ID first. Dot create item product ID. This gets me the product ID from the loop, from each of the loop. So single item, which is this div bar. So the content.inner.html. Now there are so many ways to do this. You can decide to do document.create, maybe create another element, create the child element and append them to the mother element. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use backticks and create HTML. For people that like JavaScript plenty, people can continue. You can do those ones. So I'm just going to use this method. Should I put this in a h1 or in a div? Okay, let's just use a div. I'm just going to use a div, and I'll say class of cat item. So inside this div, I'm going to have first thing I should have is I want to call variables. So my cat, let me just say inside this div, let me do it like this so that it will just be clear. This is the div, right? This is the div. So inside the div, I want to have, let's arrange it well. Let me do h5. I want to say product name is so to call the product name, since it's a backtick, I can just do this bar. I can do this card data, but is it card data? Yeah, card data item dot product name. Right. Then I can close my h5. So this is for product name. I can say, so any other thing my product has, let's say product price. So card data dot product price bar. Hope this works. Then what else? The quantity I bought. How many did I buy? So quantity. So I say quantity. So this card data dot quantity bar, quantity. All right, then I have a button, right? Where would this button be? Okay, the button can just be on its own since everybody is in a div. This is one cut item, so everybody's in this div, so I can just put the button here, button, and I just want to say this is remove item, right? So on remove item, I will just create a function for it and say on click, when I click on this, just perform this action, just do remove item. So remove item, I want to use the product ID to remove whatever I'm removing, so I can just do this, which I've already created the product ID as a variable, so I can just do product ID, yep. Okay, what else? Okay, so we've gotten everything we need in a single product, so let's just do total. So on each of the loop, I want to increase the total. I want to get how much, right? So if you loop once, you know total is equal to 0 bar. So on each loop, we want to check the price, right? We want to check the total price and add it to total so that the total will keep increasing. We get what I'm saying, bar?
Yeah.
So this is just total plus total is 0. So I need to do quantity times price, which is cat item, bar. Is it cat item? No, cat data. This cat, which is cat data item bar. So quantity dot price bar. Let's say product price first. You can do price times quantity or quantity times price. Anyone can work. You see the same thing. Times what? Cat data bar item dot what? Quantity. What am I saying? Yeah, dot quantity. So this should multiply it and add it to, if you multiply this, just add it to total. That's just what I'm saying. Then the items in the cart is 0, so we just want to count how many items we have in our cart. So items in cart is equals to what? Items in cart bar plus 1, abi, just increase it by 1 if you count. So let's just increase, let's set everything, let's display everything in HTML. So let's just say document dot get element, it's element by ID. Clean by IDs. First one is what? Let's do number of items. I think there's an ID called number of items, right? Which is that span dot inner HTML should be equal to the items in the cart. Right, yep. Then cart div. So we want to push the single item into the cart div, right? So let me just say cart div dot append. Is it append or append child? I think it's append child, I think. Yeah, append child single item, right? Then finally we can now do, we can show the total and say document dot get element by ID is show total bar dot inner HTML is equals to total. Alright, so this should get our, this display card should actually get our cart working. So anywhere I was supposed to call display card, so I'll just replace it. So remember to display cart here, and I should remember to display cart here. Did I do it anywhere else? Okay, I should remember to display cart before doing this. Where else did I want to call display cart? So let's see if this works. Just reload this and let me add this. Cart item is not defined on where 101. Cart item. Okay, 101. Where is that and why is it telling us that? Let's product ID equals to, so this is not cart item, this is cart data. Here's cart data, sorry. All right, so this is the old thing I had in my cart. Okay, this is working, but it's giving me the old thing I have in my cart. My button, wasn't that button? Okay, sorry, the button is not properly, this is a button, so inside here should be the remove item. Okay, on my page load is not calling, so I want to just do, what I want to do is once the page loads, right, once my page loads, I want to call display cart. Yeah, so I want to call this because I may already have something in my cart when I come back to this. Maybe I may be shopping and I left the platform and I'm back. So once my page loads, I have this. Right, this is what I have. So I have this item. So the cart is working anyway. So what I just want to do is let's make a clear example. Let me just do local storage dot clear. So this clears out everything in my storage. Okay, yeah. So nothing is in storage again. So let me remove this. So let's actually test it if it's working. So let me add TechnoSpark 2. So one item is in cart, right? The name is TechnoSpark 2 and the price is this. The quantity is 1. So the total item I have is 38,000, which is just this bar. So if I add another TechnoSpark, this increases to, I still have one item in cart, which is the TechnoSpark 2, right? But just that I bought 2 of it. So, and it calculates the price for me. This 1 times 2 should give me this, right? So I still have one item in my cart, but this. So if I add another one, so I now have 2 items in the cart. I have 2 of TechnoSpark 2 and TechnoSpark 3 of 1. So the total is still this. So cart is working, which is our goal. Question, confusion with our cart. It's quite interesting and simple. Please, questions and confusion. Welcome. Question, confusion.
No, Mr. Ike.
Yep.
So to do a shopping cart now, the things needed to be done is the first thing, design your page.
Yes.
So after you design your page, the next thing is you display your cart.
Yes.
Now, if nothing is added in this local storage or wherever, the cart will be empty.
Yes, the cart is empty.
The next function you need to do is add item.
Yes, exactly.
Then the next function you need to do is to update quantity.
Yes, if you're adding the item, that's where you now update quantity. Adding item is, before you add an item, you have to first check if it's in the cart. If the item is in the cart, you update you don't add it again, you have to update the quantity. Else it will be, you have one item many times in your cart.
Yeah, I know. This if or exists inside add item.
It's inside the add item.
Okay, so it's either you add item or you update item.
Or you update it, yeah. If it's existing, you just update it. You update the quantity because you can go and be selling, maybe people that are selling biscuits 10 naira and I want to buy 100. So you can't have 1 item 100 in the cart. It doesn't really make any sense. So I bought only one product, but the quantity is what I changed.
Yeah. So in each of these functions now, you have to always display cart.
I'm just displaying cart so that it will always be this display cart. Remember, it's just showing this thing in my. It's displaying it here. So in the case where I change a value, that's why I'm always calling display cart. So even if I change the value, it's still, anytime I call the function, it still updates. It gives me the new value of my cart.
Yeah, that's That's what
So
I want
if
to get.
something
So
is
the
changed,
reason,
it just tells me that
the,
it updates it.
so the reason for displaying cart in each of those functions is to give you the current
Yes, the current value of
cart
what is in
items,
cart.
the current
Yes,
cart items.
yes.
Okay.
Because here now, if I didn't call it here, I've added something to cart, so I will have to wait till I reload the page before it will show.
Yeah.
But if I don't want to do
Yeah.
that, I just need to call display cart, which will just show me what is in my cart.
Yeah, I understand now.
Right.
Now,
Yeah,
with the
go on.
sorry, with the local storage now, this whatever that is in local storage stays there even for 1 million years in your browser until when the local storage is cleared.
Yes, I think. I'm not sure it has an
Now
expiry date.
that's until when your I don't think it has expiry date until when your local storage is cleared or you reinstall your operating system. Now let's
Yes.
assume that you are not yet done. Probably you are still under 1 week, under 2 weeks, under 3 weeks, and in a way, local storage is cleared off. What happened to the?
What happens to it is you start again now.
I think
you,
this is where the database
you
comes in,
start
right?
shopping again. So local
So,
storage is for the client on the front end. So in most cases, you use it when the client is not logged in, right? Maybe you don't need the client to log in or something. But in a normal sense, even if you come to shop, if this is what the real shopping system, I can store these things that I'm storing in local storage. I can store it in the main database. You understand? I can store it on my database.
that's
Or in
those
the
things you
database.
store in local storage
Yes,
now.
all these things. The same way I store it in local storage, I can just store it in the database. So
The
what I now
database,
do
then
is, what I may now do is, I may now display it to you using maybe your IP address,
okay.
right? So you store it based on the unique thing there is the person's IP. So anything that is stored use your IP address will be displayed to you as your cart item. So instead of storing just, this one is displayed to you based on your browser. So in a case where, as long as you're using this particular IP, I will get you everything in your cart, except you change your IP. So everything
Because
might.
where I'm actually going is, Mr. A comes to this system, did some shopping and left halfway, not checked out. Then Mr. B comes on the same system, try his own shopping. But the way it is now,
The issue is
the
anybody
shopping,
that comes will continue shopping from where the other person left.
so
Because
I'm saying
it's because they're not logged in. So if you are logged in, if you were logged in, we can actually maybe get your email, right? You have to log into shop. So if you have your email already, there's no need for you to even if you go, anytime you come back, you will fetch it based on email. We can fetch data based on your email.
Can we fetch from local storage based on email also? Or is it better to use
It's
database?
not that's not advisable.
Database is
It's
better.
not advisable, but it is possible.
It's possible. I'm not saying it's possible. It's just like when you do if the ID is equals to this bar. But in this case, you're storing both the person's email, so you just check if the email is this. But you need the person to now enter their email, which I don't see why I'm coming to enter my email when I'm just coming to shop, except I'm logging in. Which even if I log in, you're not supposed to store my data, my user email and password. You can store my email in local storage, but there's no need for going through this stress when you have a back end that made me to log in the first place. Why not just
Now,
send the data back to the back end, let the person store it, then fetch it anytime I need it.
This is leading to the question I asked on the WhatsApp platform that day that resulted in this class now. That is it better one go straight to database instead of using local storage?
Yes, if you are working with database, so preferably store it in your database. Like I said, local storage is just for the client, is the client side, because I may decide not to use this system tomorrow. Understand? I may decide not to use this system tomorrow. So once I come to another system and I log in, I can continue from where I stopped. Understand? Or I may be doing it on my system and I switch to my phone.
Okay.
I've changed.
So database is better.
Yeah, so database is better in that case. So here we're just trying to see how we can, because even if the local storage here is just serving like a let's say a local database or something like a local database. We're trying to trick the database.
Peculiar to a particular PC.
Yes, something like it's just a local database for this particular person. So even in a normal sense, you're still going to the backend is still going to return this data to the person. The person still has to fetch it. So if you fetch it, you still do most of these loops that we've already done, just that you're not going to do it by doing local storage or anything. So although doing it with backend may be quite easier if I'm just sending all these things directly, it may be easier.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so what's remaining? We've gotten our items.
item.
We've removed the item. Let's see, what did I even do here? Okay, so this div is having cat item. Let me just
Click on that button.
Yeah, we'll have to remove the item, but let me just do the same thing I did for box here, so that we'll just separate them. So let me just say this is green. Yeah, so this is what I have. So I want to be able to remove this item when I click. So remove is not defined, blah blah blah. Okay, so how do I remove an item from an array? How do I push something out of an array? So I think that's the last thing we're calling.
Chamberlain.
If they call Chamberlain, why they call Chamberlain? Chamberlain like the right JavaScript, ba?
Chamberlain.
It's a Chamberlain.
Chamberlain, do you know who's speaking?
No, I don't.
You don't know who they talk, Chamberlain.
No.
See, Miss Amma is not saying anything.
He doesn't have my name there.
Miss Amma, you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, don't mind them or they're discussing on that thing.
Sorry. Oh yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do. She's the only lady left. Everybody they've gone to cook.
Yeah, sorry.
Abigail have gone to cook soup. All right, let's proceed. So, we want to just remove an item from the storage. So, how can we do that? All we just need to do is function what? So, this display card is already. We'll just leave it down there. That's the first thing we want to be doing. Function with what's the name? We can call it. We already call it remove something, but remove item. Yeah, called it remove item before. All right, so we're just passing the ID, which I've already passed inside that button. But so remember, this button remove item is carrying this ID here, right? Yes. So the ID is being passed inside the button. So what I just want to do is I want to is an array. I have an array, which is what I have in my database. Is let me get it first. Let's cat data is equals to what? Get cat items, but so which cat data is an array, right?
Yeah.
So it's still the same loop. I want to loop through and find where the ID matches what I have in ID. So the same loop I did before for. I'll still stick with the for in loop. Let's item in cat data. Well, if the cat data item dot product ID matches the ID bar. So what we can now say, we can say we just want to do, normally we're just supposed to pop split out of the array, but let's just make it a bit too small. Let's be sure that you want to delete something. So let's confirm first. Let's use a confirm box. So I just want to say confirm returns true or false, but the confirm box returns true or false. So I just want to say if confirm. So the message, what's the message? If you confirm that, let's say, do you want to delete this item? So if you confirm, if it's true, if you agree, just do cat data dot. So how do you remove something from an array? Using the index, using the key.
That's why I call Chamberlain.
Chamberlain. Afana.
Somebody dey sleep.
First time.
Ghost time Afana. Ghost time don't
I
miss a
do.
mic.
I do. Let's say, wait.
Ah. Oh yeah. How do you remove this thing from an? How do you cut this thing off from an array?
Can you slide now?
We can use what?
Slide.
Slice bar. So we can say slice, which will take so slice. They say slice takes the start and the end bar. Where am I starting from? Where am I ending from? Yeah, so we just start from the beginning of the key, this index. That's where we start from, and we'll end at 1. So you should just cut that particular item, and you end at 1. So this should cut only the one having this key. So let's just alert and be sure. Let's say alert product removes, although it will still show that it has been removed. So let's reload. So if I reload, I still have 2 items. So if I remove this, do you want to delete this item bar? So if I say okay, so product removed successfully. But the issue is it's not calling. I have to do what's now. So you see why I'm doing how I have to call update cart, the display cart. So since I didn't do display cart, I have to refresh this page. It didn't even work, safe. So I don't even know if it's working. What did I do? Okay, we've not I'm missing something. We didn't update the value in local storage, the local storage value. We've not updated our local storage, but we only did removed it from the current array, but it's still in local storage. So after this if, after the if, we have to reset our local storage. So set item, since something has been removed from the item. So the same thing we did before. Item name is card data. So JSON stringify card data. So I need to still call display cart. Yep. I think that should solve the problem. So if I remove this and say okay, why is my display cart not calling? Okay, so why are we not? Why is it not going off? Who can help us? Card data load slice item. Is this in slice or splice? Chamberlain. What I need is splice, not slice. So splice is for an array. Okay, let me just show it. I think the hints they gave is splice is so delete count. So that's what I'm just doing. Blah blah. It's used mainly for arrays, to cut something off an array. Kimberly want to deceive us. Call us. Alright, so it's working now, but yeah. Yes, so I think that's all, but what else? So we can decide to maybe add. What else are we doing? You can decide to add a pay button where you pay. Yeah, please ask your question.
What if the product you are trying to remove has 2 quantities, not 1, and you just want to remove one of the quantities?
In that case, this our approach will not work. What we have to do there is maybe I have to put a box here, right? You understand? This quantity now needs to be in a box where you can increase or reduce the quantity. That's the only approach that will work for that. Because in this case, removing item removes the whole product, that particular product. So you can still do that one. Maybe just put a box and say for it to remove one, change the value of quantity. But it's still the same thing. You still need to just loop through the array and find where the product ID matches, then change update quantity. So it's the same thing you want to do. But I didn't cover that. You can decide to implement that one if you like. It's your choice.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think with this cart, everything in cart is done. Any other thing that we didn't touch, you can proceed to payment if you want. The time has gone. There's no time for us to do payments. It's not part of
Some
the.
people are sleeping already.
Yeah, some people are sleeping. Some people have slept. So
Who are they?
People are sleeping. Are you sleeping over there?
some people are sleeping now. Some people have slept. Some people slept.
Many people are sleeping. I'm awake.
Okay, I lost for you two. You are here, Steph. Hey. Okay, no problem.
So, most people are sleeping, so they decide themselves.
They'll watch the preview later. Okay, so I think we are done. I think if there's any question, you can ask here or in the group. Items in cart. So if there any confusion so far, question.
I've already gotten this fine, this advanced in JavaScript, so some of these things are looking kind of foreign to me, but I'm actually getting, I'm understanding.
What's the foreign thing there? Is it you already know local storage now?
Yeah, I do.
So which thing which one did we do that I don't know? The sum or what?
Const,
The const is just a constant. You can use a let. It's just that I know that the value is not going to change. That's why I'm using a constant. I can even use a okay, there's no need using a constant because it's going to change. So const is just for constant that you know that they won't change. This is giving me is either true or false. I'm not going to change the value. It's returning true or false. There's no way I'm changing the value to any other thing.
Is there a way you can get this code?
Yes, of course. I will upload on GitHub, then share. So you can add yourself as a collaborator too, or I can add you as collaborator in case anybody want to help us and design it well. You are free. You know CSS, ba?
Yes.
And that's where you shout yes very well. You help us and design it. You design it for us. That we don't know. People, if I give Chamberlain will think it's node that is writing. He will spoil it. This my design will be fine, self. He will spoil it. So to avoid such things, so we need ladies that will design it for us. Not people like Chamberlain.
And this is color right here, please.
You will not do what? You. Alright, so everybody know how to connect payments, but so you can just add a payment button and do pay now. So we'll buy Techno, can build it for one shop that is close to your house. I tell them.
Ask a question. It's not completely related, sir. How do you add like all these external payments incorporate into your website?
It's easy. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I was saying there's no time. We would have just added it. This is 10:41. But it's not difficult. It's very simple, especially with JavaScript. Okay, let's just try. Please, anybody. The class is officially the discussion is officially over. So we can go to bed now. For those that want to go to bed, I will share the link to the code link to the. If I upload on GitHub, I will share it to the group, both Telegram and WhatsApp. Then probably I recorded this session, so we'll upload it on the YouTube channel for those that want to get the video again. So Lordson, let's answer your question. So we are done. If you can go to bed. For people that want to cook soup, you can go and cook soup.
Bye.
Alright, so if you want to add
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you can go, but we are going to want to add payments. So anybody can.
My data is running low.
Your what?
My data.
Your data?
Yes.
How much data? So
if you can give me 6 gig, I'll be very, very happy.
6 gig. Interesting. How much is 6 gig?
6 gig is 2,000 naira.
only.
Yes.
So if I give you
very
6 gig, you
simple.
will you state it 12?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I will
nah.
even state
No,
it
no,
tomorrow.
no.
Deal,
You know,
deal.
you-
6 gig, no
Yeah,
problem.
you
Say
said
6
it's
gig.
more money.
Yes, now.
6 gig,
Tomorrow
ba.
morning is not 12. Yes.
Alright, but you have data to complete the session, ba.
It's remaining 182. They just beeped me.
Okay, drop
182 MB.
drop a message in the group, in the WhatsApp group. The data number. Let me send you the 2 gig. You said it's 2 gig, ba. 2 gig will make you
Yes,
state it
sir.
12 o'clock. Oh yeah, nah.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, drop the message in the WhatsApp. Drop it now. Oh. Let's add
Right,
payment.
right.
Huh?
My battery is running low. Let me do that.
I should give you battery. Malid.
Yes, my battery is running low.
Should I give you battery? Should I give you battery? I should send you
Yes,
battery.
yes.
They don't used to send battery now. Oh yeah, come and borrow lights from me. I have lights. If it's borrow lights, come and borrow lights from me. Okay, for people interested, this one is not class has finished. Like everybody can go. But let me just add the button for people say for lots on. Let's say pay now. That's just what I want to do. So you can use any of the payment providers, Flutterwave or Paystack, right? Flutterwave, Paystack. Which other payments? Payments plenty. I think I haven't used one recently. They say it's Leak Pay. I mean, what?
Pay on delivery.
No, this one I want to do online payment. Which one pay on delivery?
Use Paystack. It's in Timberlane. Do you know who is speaking?
No, I don't.
This is Mr. Dele.
Oh! No, after class, we discuss.
Yeah, after class you gist. After class.
All right, so.
Okay. Okay, so which one are we using? The codes for both of them are almost the same. So let me just say Paystack. For JavaScript, it's better to just use the inline, Paystack inline. But you know, payments can go both ways too. You can do front end and back end. That's maybe you do the payments on the front end and then send the data to the back end to still verify the payment. But if you're using just JavaScript, you can just do this method. You understand? Who does not understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you can do this. The documentation, most of the Nigerian payments, the Paystack and Flutterwave, I think their documentation is clear. You get? It's actually straight to the point and clear. So what you just do is the code is already here to copy self. No, there's no long story. Nobody says you should come and nobody says you should cram anything. So in their case, this is a form, and the form has a button, but we don't need their button. So what you just need is, since we're using Paystack, okay, let's use Paystack. Normal Paystack inline, just one-time payment. You can visit their website. Okay, let me just copy this and okay. And just copy it and put it somewhere in the meeting. So this documentation for Paystack inline, if you want to try Paystack inline. So Paystack inline just means that it's going to load on the same window. You get, it's not going to go and open another window for you. That's just what it means. It's preferably, it's more, it looks more legit like that. You understand?
Okay, the one I did recently is a pop-up.
The inline looks more like the payment is on your platform. So you know, when you start redirecting people to another place to make payments, they'll start looking at the Nigerians will start looking at you somehow. 229. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Let me send the data. All right. So we just need this code. First of all, we need to use this. This is the JavaScript. This paystack blah 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 JavaScript. We need to use this we need to add it to our own code. So it's a script. I can just add it. Let's just say add it down here. No, not here. Just like adding an external JavaScript file, right? This particular file here. So this is just to help me initialize all their payment process. So they've already created a function for me, so I can just still copy it. So the function name is pay with paystack. Script. Let me just place it at the bottom. Let me just put it here. So it's just a function, pay with paystack. Is Amasi here? Abisha has disappeared. Have she disappeared?
I'm still seeing her.
I'm still here. Thank you, sir.
Have you seen it?
I've seen the card.
All
Yes,
right.
thank you, sir. Let me stop.
Okay. Oh, so no
Listen, now that one the sweet you pass.
no sleep this night.
As in,
All right. So this is I'll just try to explain this their code. So we just want to trigger this particular. It's just a function, pay with paystack, right? We just want to trigger this function on click of that button. So let me just add it here. So on click here, on click, just trigger the payment, which is this bar. All right. So what's the function saying? Simple function. They just said. So first of all, initialize their paystack handler. Which is this. So you need a key for you to use any payment system. You have to get the payment key. So paystack, there's always a live key and a test key. Test key is for collecting original payments. Live key is for test payment. I don't know if this particular test key will work. You need an email, very important. The email, that's the user's email. The person who is going to pay, the person's email. So in most cases, the person must have filled a form, right?
yeah.
Maybe the person, before you check out, you have to fill your details now. You fill a form, maybe your name, email, and all those things will be there. So if you collect it,
That's what we're supposed to do before popping up this.
yeah,
payment.
before you pop up this, maybe there's already a form for the person to fill. On submit of that form, you have to collect the person's details. So let's say I collect it and maybe just display them here, document.form, do all these things. So I already know I have the person's email, right? So I just replace it with whatever is here. Let me just use my own email. So you need the amount. In this case, they said 10,000, but paystack converts this thing to do this thing in Kobo, right? In Kobo.
Yes.
So you need to either multiply. If you want to be any amount you want to put, just make sure you multiply it by 100, so that it converts it back from Kobo to Naira, right? So this one will still be 10,000 Naira, because if you remove this thing, it will convert it to Kobo for you. Now to divide it by 100, so this will actually change to 100 Naira. They want 10,000 change to 100 Naira. So currently, you can choose currently, Naira, dollar, blah, blah, blah. So a transaction reference is an automatic reference number which can use to reference the transaction. You can create your own. So they said if you remove the line entirely, their API will generate one for you if you want. So it's your choice to know how you create it. So there are also custom fields which you can put. For instance, you can add a mobile number. You can add other fields. If you want other fields to be added to, maybe when the person pays and you want to see other details about the person. So you can add name, email. You already have the email, so you can have name and other field details. So the callback is where the action is happening. So if the payment is successful, right? just do whatever is inside this place. So in most cases, if payment is successful, they return you a response. Paystack will return you a response. So this response is mostly what you may send back to the back end person. But in our case, if there's no response, you can build a front end. Let's say it is just an event platform or an event page where you want people to pay and register for an event. But I'm giving an example. So you don't need any, in this case, you may not really need anything, any callback, like sending anything to the backend, since it may just be full front end. So if they just pay, just tell them your payment was successful, and maybe payment successful. I think that's all. And maybe I give you the transaction reference so that you send it to me on WhatsApp, or you send me screenshot on WhatsApp. So I can see the transaction reference from my Paystack dashboard that somebody paid. So you too, you also have the transaction reference. So we just use it to know that if you have this transaction reference, you paid. So it's simple. We've created a simple event app. So you can create this for anybody who wants to do an event and want them to pay online. So everything can just happen inside this callback. So you can do successful or redirect the person to a success page on callback. So this is where on close is just you closing the Paystack window. So this one just opens the Paystack, the iframe. So let's see if it works anyway. So let's reload our shopping cart so that it's just hope I have network. Cookies are not authorized, will not send any data. Who said so? So this is Paystack inline.
HTTPS.
Huh?
HTTPS.
HTTPS.
On that Paystack.
You say it will do what? I should change it.
To HTTP. It is the HTTPS that is causing that.
That is causing which one? Which one?
Go to that last line where you inserted the
that
Paystack JavaScript.
Is it that one that is doing it? You say is it that is doing what? It's not it.
This one.
No,
the HTTPS is the one.
So I change to normal HTTP.
Yeah.
It will still work, but it doesn't matter now. Is it going to do anything? Actually, the issue is coming from what they even say. It's coming from the payment API. The key actually is the API key. So I don't have a valid Paystack API key. So I'll just okay. So I don't do anything from here, but so let me just log into my own Paystack dashboard and get interesting. When did this one start now?
Because I wanted to ask that normally Paystack uses an API.
An API? They have their own API now. They created an API.
Yeah. It's like I created one for a weather and I had to use a weather API.
You can build your own API. Anybody can create an API. It's just the work of the back end. You create it. It's just a link now. Anybody can create API. So depend on what you want. Companies can tell you to create. You can create your own API. So, but there are so many open APIs, like the weather one you're talking about. So I'm just going to use the test public key and just can I do? Where should I paste this now?
It's in their function.
I'm even looking for their function. It should be down, right? That's here. Okay. This Taylor stripe. Okay. So let me just reload this and pay. So yeah, so I'm in a test environment now. So it says pay with card bar. So thank God for Paystack. They don't need me to come and start entering cards. So this is just a test payment, right? It's test. So it's telling me to pay. So if I pay this, let me say I've paid. So my payment is successful. So it's telling me success bar. Transaction reference is this, which is what is in my callback. And I say okay. But in most cases, that may not be what somebody wants you to return in the callback. So let me just tell you what the full callback is looking like, or what the full response is looking like. So this is the response, which is this response that is in the callback. So pay now. Alright, so it's successful, but I've paid. So this is what my callback is looking like. So this is everything about this. So I have a message saying approved. Then the reference is what I can send to the backend. So the backend may ask for all this data or just one of it. So status is successful. So transaction, blah blah blah, transaction reference this. So any other thing may not really be necessary. So these are the main data you ought to get from Paystack once you pay. Then you can always confirm from like what did you say?
You're not supposed to send the email and phone number to the backend.
Yeah, if you is actually this one we are not doing anything back end. So if you want, you collected the email and phone number yourself. Paystack only collected email to trigger the transaction. Well, let me see. I think I should still have they should send me an email that I paid, yes, receipt. They'll send me a receipt. I was the one that made the payments, So the third, the company Taylor's Tribe received your payment of 10,000 naira. So I have a receipt from Paystack in my email date with the reference here. So the person that owns it, like the dashboard for this particular Paystack dashboard, they'll also receive an email in their own
Email address.
Yes, email address. So let me remove this. So yeah, so this is the one I did now, right? It was on test mode. I have to switch back to test mode. So this is what I did now. So I can see that the amount is this, the customer is this, reference is this, blah blah blah. So you can now do anything you want to do. I can decide to. So Paystack has the option of you can refund the customer if you don't want, if there was issue. Refund your customer, do whatever you want to do. Alright, I think that's clear. Let me just check something.
If during this payment, what you are doing presently now, and live, during entering of the card details and blah 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 blah, network caused an issue and the transaction didn't go successful.
The transfer didn't go.
Successful.
The payment will not be completed. No. There may be for instance, there may be this payments may be declined. So let's go for declined and see. So declined, please retry again. So you can choose any method to retry. So if network caught it, it may stop on the road and it won't be completed. But as long as it's completed, it will always send even if it doesn't send a response, it will send you a receipt. Paystack will send a receipt to your email. So it's now with the receipt you can now go back and complain to the company and say, I made payment, they debited me, but the thing did not go, that kind of thing. You get, it's possible to happen, but so if you now say you made payment, it did not go, we can come to our dashboard and check whether you actually made payment. So if they come here, they will just check for your email and you just give them the reference. So I know it has happened to me so many times when I'm making payment on hosting Nigerian hosts. So it may go, they will debit you, but the thing will not, they will not, it won't reflect on their own account that you've paid. So they'll just ask you for the reference, this particular number. So if you send it, they'll just check. If they find it there, it means you've paid. So those ones are not an issue. So you can change your payment method. So Paystack gives you different options: pay with card, pay with bank, pay with USSD. I think there are other options now. So Paystack and Flutterwave is almost the same option. So let's just see Flutterwave. Oh, okay. No payment, blah, 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 blah. annotation. So it's almost the same. I think it's almost the same flutter wave inline. So if you notice, it's almost the same code, right? If you notice, is this almost the same code? What's the difference? It's just is there any difference? It's just a few slight change. You understand? This is almost the same thing. So redirect URL. There's also a callback here. So it's just a few changes.
Just follow the same process.
Yeah, the same process with what you did in Paystack. The same thing. This is the script. You just copy this as a script. Then this is their own function. So it's the same thing.
Okay. Just like you open an account with Paystack.
Yes, you have to open an account with them to get the API key. You have to also open an account with them to get the key.
Okay.
So it's the same process. Yeah. So I think that's all for tonight. People that want to stay till 12 o'clock. Me, I want to go and sleep. I want to go and watch movie.
You have done well. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for banking
so
with us.
much, Mr. Ike. Thank you so much.
Thank you for banking with us. Any question so far with the whole class?
You be posting the GitHub link.
Yes, I'll send
Okay.
I'll share the GitHub link on WhatsApp. I'll share it. You get it. You're on the WhatsApp group. I'll share it. All right.
See as God's time, just keep quiet. Like somebody we know they talk at all.
It's in God's time.
I know they talk now. You man know that one.
Like somebody we know they talk at all. Alright. So thank
I
you
laugh
very
at
much.
girls. I know they just they disturb me anyhow anyhow.
We'll talk later then.
All right, no problem.
Have a good night. Nice meeting you. Lord
It's
Singh.
nice meeting you too. Good night.
Good night. Lord Singh. Nice meeting you too.
I think you
That one is sleeping.
Our greatest facilitator of all time.
But
Thank you very much, sir.
Never tell me it's nice.
Who is taking the next class? It's not me.
You know.
Huh? You said I do waiting.
No, God's time is not talking about you. He's
Okay.
talking to me. God's time. Nice meeting you too again. Good night.
Wait. All right. Let me just.
Mr. Ike, you will take the next class. So
Yes, the class for the back end. So we'll schedule a day to try to implement this using the back end, but
okay.
yeah.
So you introduce Mr. Vincent here. It's like Mr. Vincent has joined.
Vincent, is he here?
I don't know. There's no one you introduced on the platform.
Yeah, it's
Who are you?
Vincent. So it's Vincent.
Okay.
But
I never experienced him anyway.
Vincent will not take
We have
that
left.
class, Sha.
We have left before he joined.
Yeah, it's nice.
But
Yes.
you should give.